something that I talk about quite a bit. I'm gonna try to do that without falling off my treadmill. Had a lazy morning because lots of calls, and normally I was in a situation where I couldn't like walk or move as much because I was intensely taking notes. So I'm really behind in my steps, and I'm like, I need to catch up. I'm also trying to get more steps earlier in the day because, hold on you guys, can you see this video? It's showing me, still needs access to the camera. Cancel, no. So yeah, usually I was doing good with my steps, and then I was getting most of them in the evening, but now I want to try and get a lot more steps in during the day. So let's see, hopefully I don't fall off my treadmill and still safe while I deliver all the information to you. Okay, so this week I'm going to be doing 5 trainings, inshallah, and then 5 next week as well. Please, please, please help me out by dropping in the comments below what more you would like to see. All right, great, we're live, it's working, awesome. So today's topic, and you know what I just love about, I use this app called Prezi to design my presentations, and I love it because I can totally match the colors of the presentations to the hijab that I'm wearing, because that's pretty much like what you guys see. Anyways, let's get started. So your body's protein needs is something that we really need to understand, because most of you come to me eating like 40 to 60 grams of protein some days, and that's what our starting point is. That's what we want to increase. Here's the crazy part. The daily value or the daily recommendation is only 40 grams of protein. And most of you know that I've given you way over 100 grams, right? Like 120, 130 grams of protein. So 40 grams of protein is very, very little. This is, not prioritizing protein and not getting enough of it is one of the biggest reasons of weight regain. You lose the weight, but you gain it back. Okay, it's really one of the biggest reasons. Also why diets don't work, but also not getting enough protein. You know how like women don't strength train, but instead they'll do like other kinds of activities like walking, running, treadmill, cardio, HIIT classes. The lack of strength training is another big reason for weight regain. So we want to have enough protein every single day. Actually, I'm skipping ahead. Let's just go through my slides. All right, so the first reason is that protein is essential. What does that mean? Carbohydrates are not essential, but fats have something called essential fatty acids, which means that our body can't make it. So we need it from external sources. So amino acids are the building blocks of protein. There are 20 different amino acids, and of these 20, your body can make all of them except for 9. So there's 9 amino acids that are called essential amino acids that our body cannot make. So it's essential to get them from our diet. Some protein sources are more complete than the others, meaning that they have more or all of the 9 essential amino acids. As you can tell, I already stopped talking. I already stopped walking because I was getting out of breath. So there goes my grand idea. But I will catch up my steps. That's like a non-negotiable to me, where I will get my steps in. Anyways, if you are catching me live today, go ahead, drop live in the comments. If you're catching this on replay, drop replay. I would love if you caught a bit of this, a part of it or all of it. Please, please, please leave a comment. It just makes me so happy when my content does get watched, because I know that, hey, you're getting some benefit from it. I'm always open to feedback. So yeah, so let's go back to talking about amino acids. So now every protein source you eat, it doesn't need to be complete, but you want to make sure that the combination of proteins you're eating is a variety. Like it's not the same thing every single day, because that aids the body to make sure that it's getting enough protein for adequate muscle repair and growth. So here's the recommendations: 0.6 to 0.8 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you are 200 pounds, you need around 120 to 160. The more active you are, the heavier you're lifting, the more frequently you're lifting, you know, or if you're not in a weight loss but you're in a build, the more protein you need. Okay, so now going back to what I said at the beginning, that the daily value is so low, it's like 40 grams. You know, that's okay if you don't have any body changing goals, right? So if you were just living day to day and you're not really working on any like specific goal, you're not working to get fitter or lose weight, then eat whatever you want. If you're getting like 40 grams of protein a day, no problem. But for optimal body composition, adequate protein is required. And the amount needed for this, like for retaining and or building muscle, is much higher than the minimum amount needed for basic health and avoiding deficiency. That's why we focus a lot more on protein, because we're not just trying to make sure we get the minimum. We're trying to make sure that we optimize the function. So generally, like, you know, I know a lot of coaches will also do 1 gram of protein. So if you're 200 pounds, you need to eat 200 grams of protein, which is a lot of protein. In any case, less is needed in a calorie surplus, while more is needed for muscle retention in a calorie deficit. Okay, which means if you are trying to build up your muscles and you're not really necessarily looking for weight loss, you can increase it less. So you may go from 0.8 to 0.9 to 1. But if you are in a calorie deficit, then the importance of protein becomes that much more, because you want to retain muscle. And remember, muscle is gold. Muscle is what, you know, really like drives our results, keeps the weight off, makes us look good and sexy. Do you have a question?
Yeah, because the teacher said that we need a protein body for
Of course. That's perfect. Okay. Alrighty. What are some of the benefits of protein that you may or may not be aware of? It burns more calories, which means that it has a higher thermic effect of thermogenic effect, which means that the body burns more calories digesting protein than it does digesting fats and carbs. Okay, it's more satiating. It fills you up. Like, I often have a hard time eating all the meat on my plate because it just fills you up so quickly. So that's why you got to have a variety of sources. It builds and repairs your muscle. And also it prevents overeating. Like, it's very hard to overeat in protein, but also if you have a lot of protein on your plate, it's also hard to overeat on other items. Typically, your plates should be calorie templated, which means that, you know, you should already know that this is the amount of calories you can eat, so you shouldn't be overeating anyways. But if you're not tracking your calories, then you could be overeating. All right, some things to know that, you know, we are tracking macros. We're tracking our ratios more than just calories. A lot of diets will only track calories, and that's, you know, that's where they lose out on, you know, the benefits of protein. So keeping protein high enough ensures that you will retain much lean mass as possible during a dieting phase, right? And then you'll adequately repair and build muscle in a gaining phase. Oh, I already said all this before. What I want to say is 1 gram of protein is equal to 4 calories, and that's the same as 1 gram of carb. 1 gram of carb is also 4 calories. So it's good to know this, because you can weigh something, multiply it by 4, and figure out how much protein, how many protein grams or calories you got. Now, just because, like, let's say chicken breast is half a pound, so it's around like 300 grams or 250 grams. It doesn't mean that that's 250 grams of protein, because that chicken breast also contains water. It also contains like some other stuff, right? So you have to scan it, and you have to enter it into a food tracking app for it to tell you that, oh, this has 40 grams of protein, for example. All right, now let's look at some guidelines. This is the main part of the presentation. How can you hit your protein goals every single day? So the first thing is that be worried about protein, because carbs and fats can be swapped, okay? So the goal is to hit each macro within 5 grams every single day. Calories are what determines loss or gain, and hitting macros exactly right means that you're hitting your calories. If you go over on one macro, you'll have to stay under on another so you don't go over your calories. So here's the thing. 1 gram of carbs, like I said, is 4 calories, but one carb or 1 protein gram is 2.25 of fat, okay? Because 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. Anyways, the reverse being that 1 fat gram is 2.25 of carb or protein. Does that make sense? Any calculator will calculate for this for you. So if you went over your fat goal by 11, then you'd need to stay under your carbs by 22.5 grams. Okay, you should divide it by the amount. And this is what's important, is you're only swapping carbs and fats. You would not take away from protein because protein is essential and carbs are not. Okay, the body can produce carbs if it needs to, but it can't produce protein. So we never take away from protein. We try and hit our protein grams as closely as possible. Another guideline is to eat around 30 grams of protein in your first meal. So don't start your day off with nothing but like fat and carbs, like bread and peanut butter, for example. It's not enough protein. You want to get a lot of protein first meal, because otherwise what happens is you end up with so much protein grams left over toward the end of the day that it's almost impossible to hit it. Next is to, what does it have number 2? Okay, you want to eat protein with every meal and every snack. So don't just have a banana by itself, combine a banana with a protein source like some cottage cheese and Greek yogurt. If you don't have a lot of fat grams in your macro intake, then go for 0% cottage cheese and 0% Greek yogurt. Okay, so by increasing the frequency of your protein intake, you can spread out how much you need and avoid struggling with those larger servings that we sometimes have at lunches and dinners. So having some snacky like protein options really helps with that. All right, you want to sneak protein into everything. Okay, so this means that you're adding protein powder to your smoothies or adding protein to your oats, Greek yogurt. You can make dips with Greek yogurt, so just use Greek yogurt instead of regular yogurt. You can make some dessert-like things like protein fluff, which is delicious, Greek yogurt with sugar-free cheesecake mix, or like a ready-made shake as your protein, what's it called? As like a ready-made shake, like a Premier protein shake by itself, or mix it into something. So that's what I call that you proteinize everything. So in the mornings, I love eggs with like my 50-calorie bread because I love bread. So I use the lower calories, I can eat more of it. So I've got eggs, I've got the bread. It has, I think, 2 grams of protein per slice. But then with my coffee, I pour some Premier protein shake into it to get about 2 ounces of, from my protein shake. So even with your eggs, you can pour some extra egg whites to increase the protein. So by the end of it, I'm over 20 grams of protein for sure. So proteinize everything. Your waffles should have protein. Your pancakes should have protein. Your wraps, like your tortilla wraps, should have protein. What else? Any carb, try and go for the higher protein version of that carb. Okay? Another thing you can do is to increase your portions, i.e. your protein portions, right? So let's say if you normally eat 5 ounces of chicken, make it 7 ounces. So that's another way to get your protein. You want to make up your protein intake via, like I said, have these extra protein options lying around in your house so that you can just grab it, eat it, and not have to think about like, what should I make up my protein with? Protein powders, 0% cottage cheese, 0% Greek yogurt. Very versatile because you can blend it up with frozen fruit. You can have like a sugar-free syrup, sweeten it. You can also blend this with sugar-free Jell-O mixes and make some light desserts. Okay, there's really lots of options. So that's it. That's pretty much everything. I just want to say that we all struggle from time to time. And in the start, that's to be expected. It's really hard to get it right in the beginning. But to remain struggling is a choice. And I hope that some of these help you along your journey away from the struggles. I don't want you to struggle with protein. I want you to be proactive. find choices that you love. I have given you all a list of protein options that are even vegan, vegetarian, right? You've got tofu, tempeh, seitan. There's also a lot of like textured soy proteins that you can buy. There's also beans and lentils, like edamame is really high in protein, also high in fat, but high in protein. You can get soy nuts. You can also buy protein chips. That's one thing that I really, really love. I usually look for sales, like you can go to well.ca or any website and watch for sales on protein chips, because these are expensive products, but you know what? It helps get my protein intake in. Nuts are also great, but remember, nuts are a fat source, not a protein source. So don't struggle, fix this week, and begin to look at patterns of days where you have good protein days in your food diary, so that you can repeat more of those days. Okay, does that make sense? Let me know what questions you have. I think I see something here. Let's take a quick look. Alrighty, awesome. Drop any questions in the comments. I'll come around and answer them, and I'll see you in tomorrow's live. Assalamu alaikum.